What's cracking, gamers? I'm here to tell you about the tragedy. That is Thoma. Now, he's an awesome unit, he looks very good, but MIHOYO, for whatever reason, decided to nerf him so hard. So here he is in the game, he looks good, you know, he is the first 4-star boy to be released in the game ever. At least after launch, of course. And, you know, it's just a shame that they did him like this. But before I get into all the details, I guess you need to fully understand Thoma and his kit, so let's get to it. I currently have a level 80 Thoma. His talents are 1, 10, and 11. Pretty freaking high, honestly. That's right, I have a Constellation 6 Thoma. And as for artifacts, I determined it's best to put them on Noblesse. And as you can see, all these artifacts are just cracked out of their mind in terms of stats and what they deliver to Thoma. He's good. If you want to see everything right here, this is the full stat list here. Energy recharge like that. And I even gave him the catch, which is probably his best free-to-play weapon that you can put on him. Besides, of course, you know, the best weapon being a Staff of Homa, maybe, for damage. So, let's take a look and see what he's capable of here. Alright, let's get that. So, about 5,000 damage after all that building right there, and his energy is looking a little bit rough, but let's see if I can dance around a little bit and get some more energy. So, every time he hits with that, he gets 3 to 4 energy particles. It's unfortunate that his shield doesn't last that long. So, there we go. Okay, there we go. So, now we got his shield, and he's hitting for roughly about 4k per tick on there with the HP. His shield is holding up decently after a few of those hits, but now it's gone. But you can stack it up again with the wave, I guess, and it doesn't hold up that well, but his shield is really all that he's good for. That's about it. So it should be painfully obvious now, even with the best artifacts and stuff on him, good weapons to boost his ults. You could probably even feed him, I guess, if you want the emblem set to try to crack out his, like, ultimate a little bit more. But you're really not going to get a lot of it because the scaling on his ultimate and, I guess, skill itself, it's just not good. The only thing that Thoma is good for is being a shield bot. But now, let's go into depth about all of his issues that are just really phenomenally bad. Alright, so now we got his ult. So, as you can see, the vaporize damage, it doesn't happen every single hit. In fact, it happens every 3 hits. So, it's kind of bad. So, the fact that his ultimate doesn't vaporize every single hit is stupid. I don't understand. Hu Tao's charged attacks can vaporize every single hit if it so wanted to. And that is why Hu Tao is so good. But for whatever reason, Thoma's ult doesn't vaporize every single hit, even though Zhang Ling, another 4-star, and her little whirly fire axe that goes around her can vaporize every single hit. Which is really dumb considering that Zhang Ling hits 3 times harder than freaking Thoma, sometimes 4. She can hit way harder than Thoma ever even could dream of. I mean, granted, Zhang Ling only brings DPS to the table, while Thoma brings at least a shield, but what does it matter when Zhang Ling will literally destroy everything around you that you don't need to worry about getting hit anymore? So it's decidedly clear, Thoma, not good for DPS in the slightest. But now let me bring up some more of the issues here, that MIHOYO, for whatever reason, they decided to nerf him to the ground to make sure that he was just not a good character. So if we go to the wiki and we can see Thoma's base stats, you can see that he is one of the lowest of a base attack of 202, which is absolutely atrocious. And especially because the fact that his ascension is attack percentage. So that's a huge issue. So it's just him ascending levels, he's getting very little upgrades about it. Especially since, well, if you want that fat shield, he would much prefer, like, say, HP. Or maybe energy recharge to make sure that his freaking shield is always up. Or you know what, maybe even pyro damage would be at least somewhat better than attack. Because at least with one of his passive talents, Flaming Assault, he can increase his Crimson or Yori's like power level by 2.2% of his max HP. So at least there is some HP scaling on Thoma. But no, for whatever reason, they wanted to give him the worst starting stats and the worst ascension stats for no reason. From a design standpoint, that boggles me. Now, if we also go to his ult, you'll realize that it is a high cost, 80 energy cost, okay? Just to get his shields, which stack, by the way, and it's very cool that his shields stack, but in order to get them stacking, you want to hit his E first and then use his ult, just to make sure that everything stacks on top of it and it can stack up to 5 times. But getting his ult again in order for it to stack, well, that's going to be an entirely separate matter because it's 80 energy cost. And considering that his E skill over here has a cooldown of 15 seconds, by the way, at C0, you may get a bonus if you get some constellations on him. But 15 seconds, you only get 3 to 4 energy particles. There is even some RNG in there to not even get 4 energy, which is stupid. It's 15 seconds of not being able to do something else. That's a horrendously long cooldown for something that you can only use like once every 15 seconds, and it doesn't even last the entire direction. It's only 8 seconds long. It's like half the length of the cooldown. So in order to actually get Thoma to at least a decent level to make sure that his ult is always up, he needs a battery. Desperately. He desperately needs a battery and a lot of energy recharge. That Sands, the HP Sands, you gotta forget about that. He needs energy recharge Sands, or at least a ton of energy recharge substats. Even at a Constellation 6, Thoma suffers tremendously from a lack of energy recharge. He needs so much. And if we go to the wiki again, if we see the starting base HP of Thoma, he's actually more in the bottom 50% of starting base HP, which is the only stat that he would need besides energy recharge, which would make him good as a shielder. But lo and behold, MIHOYO even gave him just terrible HP base stats too. I don't understand why. If you even look at the levels of his level up talents out here, it's not that incredible of what you're getting per just the cost and the value of what you need out of this here. You're not getting a whole lot out of like adding extra shield absorption, or even like, look at the skill damage, 167% at level 11. It's not even over 200%. That's ridiculously, horrendously bad. I mean, you could say that maybe his constellations could fix some of his problems, like reducing the cooldown here, increasing the duration, which is nice, you know, making his ult cost 15 less energy because he gets 15 energy restored back to him at C4. And then his C6 is kind of nice because, you know, it kind of gives you Zhongli's kind of ability. Not quite, but it increases normal charge and plunging attacks by 15% for 6 seconds. When you attain a Blazing Blade or it's refreshed, it's like, that's okay. Granted, it's only for 6 seconds, so it's not that long. It's not even the duration of it. I don't understand why it's not while just protected by the shield, but whatever. And the next big issue here is, well, when would you use Thoma over Zhongli? Literally never, okay? Zhongli is always the better choice, but I guess that's granted because he is at least a 5-star unit. So, okay, sure. But what about Diona? Would you use Thoma over Diona? Heck no! So here's a Diona where you could replace Diona for, of course, our new Thoma Shield Boy here. And he would be pretty good in this team. In fact, I would argue this is probably Thoma's best team that you can put him in. He's basically a unit made for Hu Tao. But this is Diona, okay? She gives you the shield that you need instantly. That thick boy shield. And she also gives you cryo. And let's go here, okay? We just froze them, all right? And now they're frozen. And if you go to Hu Tao, she can still do her job phenomenally and doesn't have to worry about Thoma stealing vaporizes from Hu Tao as well, which is great. Just instantly destroyed them. and you don't have to worry about anything because they just get frozen, and you give Hu Tao even more damage when you melt them. And you know what? Dylan really doesn't suffer from energy recharge problems too, because her skill gives her a crap ton of energy, has a lower cooldown, and has better uptime, and she's just better. She heals too. And quite funnily enough, I think she probably even does more damage. So another 4-star basically does what Thoma can do, but better. Like, I don't know what to tell you at this point here. Like, they just released a very inferior character all around. Now, there is one Pyro character slash shielder that Thoma is better than, and that's, of course, Xinyan. Oh, man, everybody got her for free, but I don't think anybody wants to build her. But I will always 100% recommend you build Thoma over a Xinyan, at the very least. But the one thing that Thoma is good for, if he's going to be fighting in a group of enemies right here, he can apply the Pyro, and Kazuha can swirl the enemies, so Hu Tao can do more damage, you know? But, you know, my Kazuha is too freaking chunky, boy, and he just destroys everything. But, you know, he's basically made for Kazuha and whale units. But if you don't have Kazuha, well, you know, Thoma, it's going to be a harder case to justify building a Thoma. I guess Sucrose kind of works, too, for the Vaporize, too. So, I mean, if you have Sucrose, you can replace Kazuha with that, but still. Just the problem with Thoma Boy is, like, he doesn't work with a lot of units. Like, okay, you could replace Hu Tao with Klee as well. I guess you could throw in a D-Luke too as well if you want that extra shield. Yoimiya, like, he works with other Pyro units pretty well. But the thing is, though, I would just much rather use Bennett. You know? Just in this position for the extra Pyro resonance and also healing. I would just rather use Bennett 100% of the time. The only reason is Bennett doesn't really work too well with Hu Tao because of the healing, so that's where you would want Thoma, because you want to keep her below 50%. And that's really the only thing. He only really works with Hu Tao. And Klee, kind of. You see, I really wanted him to work with, like, characters like Mona, or characters like Kokomi, where, you know, he would apply Pyro fast, and then they could, like, vaporize every single hit. That would have been really fantastic, but it doesn't work like that, unfortunately, because of his cooldown limit there. His, you know, vaporize cooldown limit. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. Now, there is a singular weapon that would make Thoma maybe become kind of god tier. In fact, give him a huge boost if it existed in the game, and that is a sacrificial polearm. The unfortunate thing is, though, it's just not in the game for whatever reason. They literally have a sacrificial version of pretty much every single weapon besides the spear. And that boggles me. If there was a sacrificial spear, Thoma would be able to stack his barriers a lot easier, get his energy up quite phenomenally, because typically on those sacrificial weapons is a lot of ER. So, like, it would just be the best thing for Thoma, but it doesn't exist in the game. Just like how Xingqiu would arguably be a very terrible character if it wasn't for that sacrificial sword. But anyway, I'm just mad. I really wanted Thoma to be more. I really wanted him to shine. I really wanted him to just be the absolute greatest support unit ever, with giving shields and, you know, throwing out the pyro, kind of like maybe like a pyro-official-ish kind of unit. But he just falls so short because MIHOYO, for whatever reason, decided they didn't want a good unit. And it's dumb. Anyway, I hope this helped you to maybe not waste your resources on building a Thoma. I have to say, he's just not good. Unless, of course, he's husbando. Of course, build him as much as you want, but I would just recommend going strictly for HP and strictly for energy recharge. Crit rate, damage, any of those other substats, throw him out the window. That's not what he's good for. Basically, what I'm saying, build him like Kokomi. Give him Kokomi's stuff, and he'll be fine. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you beautiful sons and guns again next time.